Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we will be talking about part 2 of the double keep and try. In part 1 we already talked about this pearls diagram, and in part 2 we will be talking about each component of this pearls diagram more clearly. Well, first one is purchase. Purchase is basically when you buy something with payment, and payment can be done either with cash or with credit, and both of them, in both cases, you can call it purchase. And the next one is expense. Expense is basically like our monthly or daily expenses, like let's say we may pay for the rent or utilities. So first of all, expense is cost related to the day-to-day functioning of a business. It may be rent, utilities if you are owner of the company, salary of the workers, or office supplies. And the next one is costs not directly tied to the core business operations. Let's say interest expense, loss from asset sales. Let's say you bought a thing for $100 and you sold it for $50. And the $50 difference in here is also called expense. And then other one-time costs can also be an expense. And the next one is costs that remain constant regardless of production levels or sales. Let's say insurance premiums or insurance. And the next one is costs that fluctuate based on production or sales volume. Let's say raw materials, but we can say that we can consider raw materials as an expense. Let's say if we sell furniture and if we spend that raw materials in order to make the furniture, we can call raw materials as expense and furniture will be asset. And then sales commission, it is also expense that we can call. And the next one is asset. Assets, a present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events. We should learn keywords right here: economic resource, controlled by an entity as a result of past events, because in the tests you may see it as a question, and for answering that question, these keywords will help you. Asset, a present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events. If we talk in our simple language, asset is anything that company owns. Yeah, let's say cash, accounts receivable, inventory, or short-term investments, or land, buildings. Actually, assets are divided into two types. One of them is current, and another one is non-current asset. Current asset occurs if asset that we have is only for 12 months. Let's say cash we cannot say that this cash we will be having this cash for next 10 years. We will definitely spend this cash within this year. Or inventory, we aim to sell an inventory in in 1 year. Inventory, which basically means things that we buy for resale, it is called inventory. Or short-term investments, we may invest to the company only for 1 year, and like the length shouldn't be exceeded from 12 months, and we can call it current assets. And if we talk about the non-current assets, it is vice versa of the current assets. which means we will be having this asset for more than 12 months. And we can say land or buildings or machinery as an example. And the next one is revenue, or in other words we can call it sales. It is sales of the goods, like income generated from normal business operations. Let's say you bought something for resale and you sold it, then it is called sales. And then we have liability. Liability is basically means like the, let's say, loan that you have in, like, we can call it loan, but when we see it in tests or in questions, we have to again learn the keywords. Liability is a present obligation of the entity to transfer an economic resource as a result of past events. What does actually means? What does it actually means? So present obligation, it is our responsible, like let's say we took loan from someone and it is our responsibility to pay this loan with transferring the cash that we have. We should transfer the cash for paying this loan. In other words, like obligation to transfer an economic resource as a result of past events. And these are also divided into two groups. First one is current liabilities and then non-current liabilities. As I mentioned above, in assets, this is also kind of similar. Current liabilities means if we have, like, let's say loan or debt for 12 months, then it is called current liabilities if we have to pay that loan within 12 months. But if we have loan or debt which we have to pay, like, which for more than 12 months, let's say 2 or 3 years, it is called non-current liability. For as an example, I can say that, let's say we have 1 year credit from bank, and in here let's say we have 3 years credit from bank. If it took 1 year credit from bank, 1 year loan from bank, it is called current liability. And if it took 3 years loan from bank, it is called non-current liability. And the last one is shareholders' equity, or in other words, stockholders' equity, which basically means is net worth of the company. But in other words, it is the residual interest in the assets after deducting all liabilities from total assets. Well, what does it means is this formula. Equity equals to the asset minus liability. Well, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions regarding to this topic.